Hello, and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I'm Adita Karkera, Chief Data Officer for Deloitte's Government and Public Services. And today I have the pleasure of talking with Ken Pfeil, Chief Data Officer for the Commonwealth of Virginia. Ken, welcome.
Thank you, Adita. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with everybody here.
Ken, as you're thinking about, deploying this open data platform, and of course you're very focused on creating interagency data sharing, I'm also curious to hear what your efforts are around data literacy. I think I've seen some of your work and some of the strategies that you've deployed around creating statewide data literacy, and I would love for the audience to hear that as well on the strategies and the approaches that you are taking to enable and upskill your workforce.
Sure. We have pretty much what I would call, a comprehensive data governance program, from soup to nuts. We also, the members of the Commonwealth Data Trust are also eligible to participate in what we have is data literacy and upskilling. And we've done that through Dataversity, and we're partnering with Dataversity. And so any agency has the ability to, take courses either from the executive level where you know nothing about data and you want to understand how it works and how it flows and how it's like water and everything else, to the DIMBOK certification side of the house, all the way up. And we've used a lot of those, 2 years worth of maturity assessments to kind of understand where folks are, where they need improvement. Everything from metadata management to data quality and things of that nature seem to be the big hot buttons. I mean, we wind up seeing a lot of agencies that kind of are thrown into the pool and said, okay, well, hey, Mr. New Agency CDO, you've got to make this work. This is what we're expecting to see, and we've got basically nothing to start with. And so helping those folks get on their feet is kind of a really important option. But the data literacy program that we've put together, and we partnered with, in one case, Department of Motor Vehicles, because they had a very good LMS that they were using internally. Yeah. And so we kind of collaborated and came together on something that is dispersible across the Commonwealth.
Yeah, nothing like being able to find a program that is already successful and then sharing it across the board. So excited to hear about your efforts there, Ken. No, you've been in this role now, Ken, for about 2 years or almost hitting 2 years. And sounds like you've already been involved with some very amazing projects across the state. And as you look forward to 2024, are there any ones that particularly jump out, any particular ones that you're even more passionate about that you would want to highlight here?
Yeah, the two that stand out immediately are one is regarding veterans in the state of Virginia. So working with the Department of Veteran Services, we want to identify every single veteran within Virginia and make sure that they, one, understand what their entitlements are, two, how to get access to said entitlements, and just facilitate, taking care of the veterans. And there's a couple of bills you can read on lis.virginia.gov. There are a couple of bills that have been introduced. We're in General Assembly right now. In even years, I think we're in for 60 days, and odd years, I think we're in GA for 30 days. But there are a number of bills that have been introduced that have, veteran services flavor to them. We'd like to continue assisting them in identifying all of the folks, that we need to, give quality service to, but also, make sure that, we're enriching their lives as well. I mean, that's one part. Another initiative is the Office of Workforce Development and Advancement. There are several other initiatives under that, but it's basically we are mandated as of last year to provide to the newly established Office of Workforce Development and Advancement our oversight in creating that ecosystem, that whole workforce development ecosystem. Right now, it's spread across 13 agencies that they're working to pull that stuff in. So it includes everything from grants and entitlements to SNAP benefits to, all of that stuff, and bring that in under one workforce ecosystem. we can then, implement, some very important things like pathways from education to the workforce, and making sure that, even, kids as far back as K to 12, have some sort of pathway into the workforce, and then there's a job waiting on the other side. It's facilitating all of that stuff, and we're going to be taking a major role in putting together that singular portal that folks can go to find a job, list a job. Not like Dice or anything, right, or Indeed or anything, but more specific towards and utilization of artificial intelligence in there to say, okay, well, you're really good at this. These are some jobs that open that you may be able to fit into with an apprenticeship and that sort of thing. So we want to get ahead of a curve rather than be reactive.
Yeah.
And we feel that the governor had an initiative to bring 400,000 jobs into the state of Virginia when he was inaugurated, and I think we've hit over 230,000 already. So I'm sure we'll get an update. I have a governor's all staff meeting here shortly, and I'm sure we'll get an update there.
Yeah. Well, Ken, everything that you just highlighted, starting from the work you're doing for the veterans, as well as the work you're doing for the workforce and the education ecosystem, I mean, that exactly just kind of defines what I often hear from folks saying, well, what do CDOs really do to impact citizens? So I'm like, we are not just working with data for the heck of it, but we're actually impacting citizen outcomes. And you are actually doing that in real life today. So thank you for sharing those stories on how you're impacting actual citizens there. And you
I
touched on
think one
it.
thing that I had missed in sharing was predictive analytics. We also have that going on. And so right now we're developing our use case predictive analytics for cybersecurity, because we understand that one, not only do localities not have sufficient staff on hand to deal with all the cybersecurity issues that they have, will help better
Yeah,
prioritize them in advance. But also the VITA or Virginia IT Agency it's hard to recruit qualified people into government. It's not a
right.
really I guess sexy place to be sometimes, right? And they don't pay astronomically like some of the financial services companies. But just making their life easier and being able to better prioritize their workflow and stuff is the end goal of that. But we can
Yeah.
also take these models and apply them to other circumstances. One thing that I have swimming around in my head is predictive analytics for predictive mental decline, for example. There are a lot of different factors within healthcare that indicate whether a person is going to be hit with dementia and that sort of thing. And how do we help predict that and get them the
Mhm.
services before they're in a time of crisis? So those are just a few things that we're also working.
Well, Ken, thank you for sharing all of those initiatives because obviously that really shows how y'all are harnessing the power of data to really make citizen impact. But you touched a little bit upon AI and predictive analytics. And I think what comes to my mind is the recent executive order issued by President Biden. And I know that's been a topic that is top of mind, not only just for government organizations, but also the commercial sector, right? And although the executive order is primarily focused at the federal level, I see state governments also reacting and thinking about how they are going to take steps to govern AI at their organizations. And I'm curious what your office is doing around AI, not only in leveraging AI solutions, but also in governing the use of AI at the Commonwealth.
Well, I think that we should start with, and I'm a bit fuzzy as to when, the Oval Office had issued their executive order, but I believe I'm thinking Governor Youngkin might have them beat. He issued an Executive Directive 5 back last September on the use of AI. And with that, we have four main primary areas that are a focus to help us establish guardrails and safety, safety mechanisms for use by agencies and those sorts of things. One of them is around privacy and the use of intellectual property. That's one part of it. We also have policy standards for effective and safe usage around AI. We have IT related safeguards, like cybersecurity and governance focused things. And then lastly, we want to ensure that all of our Virginia students are properly trained within those guardrails and they're ready to compete for jobs in the workforce that are going to require AI and protect against misuse that form. Regarding the predictive stuff, yeah, we're heavily I'm not going to say focused at the moment, but our eyes are looking at that as to better ways that we can, increase the use of predictive analytics and machine learning and things of that nature, so that we're competitive, but also we're solving real world problems for Virginians.
Thank you, Ken. And I think it's really interesting to see and hear that you're already on the path of deploying AI for some of your mission areas. So I'll be curious to follow on your journey, and maybe we catch again in a few months to see how some of these use cases have progressed for you. But as we get closer to ending this interview, I guess one final question for you. You've obviously been a very successful CDO in the last couple of years, and you've had a vast experience in the commercial side. For other professionals who are still aspiring to get in this field of data and are wanting to get in the government sector, what advice do you have for them in getting prepared to enter roles in data?
Well, I've had very similar conversations, to that question at like James Madison University. I was up there about a month ago, speaking with their faculty, and those were some of the questions that they were answering. It's how do we prepare our folks of today for the jobs of tomorrow, and regarding data and AI and machine learning and where we think it's going to go, rather than them being behind the curve. So one advice that I would give is, and this is generally not a problem for folks today, is to immerse yourself in different areas of technology, and just don't stay focused and your head down on like one little piece of code. I mean, get out there and understand how the whole system works together. Ask questions. One of the things that was brought up at that meeting was that a lot of the students, they were generally hesitant to ask questions. They would even a lot of them were hesitant to make eye contact with some folks. It's we're dealing with a different generation and us as leaders, we have to learn to work a little bit better with them. And like I said before, as far as gaining trust, I mean, that goes all ways. And so, it's, I would give that piece of advice is not put your head down, focus on one particular thing, but step back a step and look at the big picture and where you think you need to see things going. And just continue to strive and get better every day. From, the coming to government, side of the house, why would you want to come work for government? My use case is maybe different than other folks, but I know my staff and my folks that work with me. They just want to make this a better place. It's their home. It's where they live. And how can we do that? If we can help do things, through data, I mean, that's the whole mission objective there. If we can facilitate one agency working with each other, if we can do a scenario that even saves one life, it's all worth it. So those are the things that I would convey to folks that are thinking of coming into government. It's not a great monetary payoff, but just the personal side of things, you're going to take that with the rest of your life. I mean, you'll get a bonus at some financial services company. Yeah, all right, that's not going to stay with you your whole life. This is something worthwhile doing.
Well, that's fantastic advice, Ken, and I completely agree. I personally feel public sector work is just so fulfilling. After spending 21 years directly serving government and then continuing to be in industry but focused on the public sector, I just feel public sector is such a fulfilling space to be in, irrespective of other factors. So I appreciate your comments and I appreciate your advice, and I hope the audience that is listening is highly motivated to continue to consider government as a space where they can continue to work in the data profession.
Send us your applications. Send us your resume.
Yes. Well, Ken, I know you're extremely busy, and I can't say enough about how much I appreciate your time in talking with us today. So thank you so much, and hope to continue to talk to you in later in the year.
Absolutely, and thank you guys for the opportunity to kind of express some of my views.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ken. And for everyone else in the audience, please continue to stay tuned and look out for further interviews with government sector leaders. Thank you.